Am I the a-hole for telling my nephew the truth that no one in the family likes him? This involves me, 25 male, my sister Diana, 31 female, and her son Darius, 10 male. I get along with my sister Diana fine, but I won't pretend I like Darius. I think he's an entitled brat who has gotten away with crap for too many times. I don't think Diana's ever reprimanded him, and every time the little turd acts up, Diana makes excuses for him. He's already been suspended from school for stealing. He's a bully to all his cousins, and I know for a fact no one in my family likes him at all. Both of my parents cannot stand him. My mother, a woman who could find a love in her heart to babysit a honey badger, refuses to watch Darius at all because of his behavior. My father will take all of the grandkids out to fish every few months except for Darius, because he's too tempted to throw him out into the lake and drive off. His words, not mine. On Monday, I got a call from my sister who panicked because she got called into work. Darius was out of school and her babysitter was not available. No one else in the family will watch Darius, so I told her to drop him off and I would watch him. It was a nightmare. Darius was mad he had to spend his day off at my place. He refused to do anything I offered, made a mess in my bathroom, harassed my dog, and had a tantrum because I would not let him use my work computer to play games. By lunchtime, I was frustrated beyond all belief. I made him mac and cheese and he demanded I take him to Wendy's. He refused to eat and eventually dumped his bowl of food on my floor. At that, I just kinda lost it. I didn't yell or get aggressive at all. I just sighed and asked him if he realized that everyone in the family literally despised him. I explained that he was at my house because Grandma and Grandpa cannot stand him, and in fact refused to let him come to their house because he acts like a little turd. I won't lie, I got pretty brutal. He started crying and locked himself in my bathroom until I came out and sat and watched TV till my sister came and got him. I told her what happened, and I and her got into a massive argument as well. She called me cruel and I told her that she is to blame, and he would have learned eventually. My family split on this. My dad thinks the little turd deserved it, while my siblings have mixed opinions. My mother has told me she's staying out of this, but if I feel the need to apologize, do it and move on. What do you people think? Edit. A little info. We've talked to Diana about this before. My parents had her down and told her they will not watch Darius because of how he behaved, and that she needs to do something else. We've all had talks with her about him bullying his cousins. She has done nothing. Not the a-hole in my opinion. He's still young enough to change if he wants to. If everyone keeps the truth from him, he'll try going through life being an awful human, and will get some seriously rude awakenings from people who aren't family. People are more likely to change if you point out that their behavior makes it hard to be around them. If you say everyone in your family hates you, they're more likely to have unfortunate outcomes that are not changing that behavior. It might be just as cruel for this, not the a-hole. He's gonna have to learn one way or another and his mother isn't doing anything. Maybe the reality check will help? I doubt it. He's probably too far gone at this point. Don't bother watching him again. The mother got herself into this mess. She should get herself out. You are 25 years old. He is 10. Is he behaving like a jerk because your sister has no idea how to parent? Yes. Should you enforce boundaries with your nephew when he is in your care? Absolutely. But that's not what you did. You bullied a child. Your behavior is awful and everyone in the family despises when you act this way. It makes it hard to be around you. It means that you are left out. It's very, very different than everyone in the family despises you. You can change your behavior. Telling someone how their behavior impacts how others feel can be a great catalyst for change. Telling someone, especially a literal child, that they themselves are hated by their family is demoralizing, demeaning, cruel, and generally does nothing to encourage change. Clearly, you are an emergency babysitter, and you are still very young and likely not trained to deal with a problem child in a calm manner, but this was out of line and harmful. You need to speak to your sister. Apologize to your nephew if you can, and then explain what you meant to address was his behavior, not him. Because there are plenty of studies that show that kids who feel that they're unloved do not improve, and there are a lot of horrific outcomes to that. Everyone sucks here, yes, but bullying a child, you're the a-hole. Telling someone the hard truth is not bullying. My God, I was bullied constantly as a kid, and even I realized that it could have been much worse. How peaceful was your childhood that you think someone being honest, even if it's mean, is bullying? Next story. Am I the a-hole for not asking my child to give up her room? My fiancé and I are moving in together. We decided that she should be the one to move in with us, since my home is bigger and in a better area. I have a 14-year-old daughter and she has 2 daughters who are 14 and 16. I live in a 2-bedroom home. A few years ago, I finished the basement and added a bathroom to it and gave it to my daughter. The other room is my office that I was planning to turn into a bedroom for my fiancé's daughters. It's a small room, but it's nice, and it can fit 2 beds, especially if we add a bunk bed instead of 2 twin beds. And it doesn't have a bathroom, but we don't live in a palace, so it is not that far away from the bathroom. My fiancé and I have been talking about the room situation and we don't seem to be able to agree on anything. She thinks I'm an a-hole for planning to let my daughter have the entire basement for herself and force hers to share a small room. I think this has been my daughter's room for years. She decorated it with her mom and therefore she shouldn't have to give it up. Obviously her family's on her side and my family's on my side, so we want other opinions as well. Halt. Hard stop and do not go farther with this relationship. We know you will, of course, because you don't see that this is the beginning of a lifelong problem. The only way for this relationship to survive is to move into a different house with equivalent bedrooms for the kids. What would that be? Not sure, but I know it isn't your current setup. You are in a completely no-win situation and you will be the a-hole either to your daughter or your fiancé and her children. Yeah, I just want to weigh in as someone whose parent did this. Moved into a 3-bedroom house with 3 kids. I haven't spoken to them in months, and I don't see them in holidays. It caused a lot of resentment. You're the a-hole for moving 5 people into a 2-bedroom home with a basement. I read a comment where you said this house is suitable for you all. No, it's not. The fact you're even having this argument with your significant other proves it's not suitable for you all. This was your daughter's home first. Making her share or give up her basement room will cause her to resent all of you, and would be vastly unfair to displace her in her own home. However, squeezing 2 teenage girls into a tiny room is also an a-hole move. Your home is not suitable at all. Although question, is your bedroom bigger than the smaller room? If so, give up your room to the incoming 2 teenagers and you and your significant other share the smaller room. If not, get a bigger home. Maybe they can't afford a bigger home at the moment. Pockets aren't endlessly deep. I do agree this needed more planning and forethought from Opie. It is a no-win a-hole situation here for him. But shoulda, woulda, coulda right now isn't going to fix his situation, especially if moving isn't an option right now. Swapping his and his partner's room to give his stepdaughters a bigger space might be the only good compromise right now, but will still cause tension. Maybe doing that and calling a family meeting and planning for the move and laying it all out on the table is best, though a soft Eeyore a-hole for the poor planning is fair. Coming from a smaller home myself and never moving, I understand having to make the best of a lame duck. Then they can't afford to move in together. I was fully not the a-hole until I started reading your comments. You have already made up your mind. You don't think your daughter should give up her room. Fair enough. But you also don't want to come up with another plan. I think you should give up the master bedroom and give that room to the 2 girls to share. And you take the small bedroom. Or move somewhere else. It's not fair to take what was your daughter's and just give it to her step-siblings. But it's also not okay to not at least try to make it even for them. I think they need to call up the whole thing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad I won't go anywhere with him if his wife is there? My 38 female parents got divorced about 14 years ago after my father had been having an affair with his current wife Brenda for 5 years. Not only this, but he was absolutely horrible to my mom in the process and really screwed her over. I was angry with him and went no contact with him for 4 years after. My grandfather on my dad's side before he passed away told me to try and make amends with my father. As I loved him very much, I agreed to try. I slowly tried to build a relationship back with him and things have been okay, but strained because trusting him has been hard. I also don't like Brenda. I did try, but we have nothing in common. She's a very gossipy person who talks trash about so many people, and I'm more interested in world events and science and psychology. I lived nearby until about 3 years ago and made an effort to see them once a month. I have now moved a 4-hour drive away and can only get up once or twice a year to visit. On one visit a couple years back, Brenda started talking about my half-sister from my mom, saying if she had raised her, sister wouldn't have had all the problems she did, and that my mom was wrong in how she managed her mental illness. Without going into as much detail, my sister has BPD and was very hard to manage in her childhood, and after years of trying to get her help and her running away, my mom agreed to let her go live with other family as she asked. It was either that or she was going to live in a group home most likely. I snapped at Brenda, saying she wasn't there and she has no idea what she was talking about. I was young, but I remember all the pain my family was going through and how hard it was for Mom to let her go. Since then, every time we have gone out together, Brenda refused to talk to me. She won't respond if I say hello, she stares at her phone, and talks to my dad as if I'm not there. I ask him to say something about it because it's rude and uncomfortable, and he just says he can't tell her what to do and we need to work it out. I told him if that's the case, I will only visit with him and not if she's around. He says I'm being dramatic, and if Brenda isn't invited, he won't come either. I told him if he won't leave her behind, then he won't be seeing me anymore either. I love him, but I'm not going to let her disrespect me anymore. He's making me feel like I'm being an a-hole because I want to see him, but I don't want to let her treat me this way. Editing to add, for those asking why Dad doesn't come visit me, I live on my mom's property and would never even consider having him here, let alone Brenda. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Don't let people into your life that treat you poorly, family or not. Looks like it is time for Opie to go back to no contact with Dad and his wife. Not the a-hole. OMG. So Brenda behaves in a horrible way towards you, but your dad can't be bothered to do the right thing and see you without her? You don't need that level of BS in your life. You're not the a-hole. Your dad and Brenda are massive ones though. I mean, the dad carried on a 5-year-long affair on his wife. It wasn't really a debate if he was an a-hole. Not the a-hole. How dare Brenda talk? Who does she think she is? Your father seems to have made his choice. It's time for you to choose. I don't understand how he can choose Brenda over you, his own child. I just want her to be more respectful to me, and even if it's just small talk, to not pretend I'm not there. He said I'm just acting like a victim, and I said no, I'm just not going to be here. Dude, you are a victim of a father who chose his lust over his family and who does it again now. You have a right to act like that. Last story. Am I the a-hole for banning my girlfriend from bringing my friend's ex over to my house? Recently, a friend of mine, Anthony, and his wife, Carly, went through a pretty nasty divorce. They had a child together about 1.5+ years ago, and things just weren't working between them. There were some issues with attraction. He felt it was getting monotonous. He was interested in pursuing other relationships, and ending up finding a spark with a then coworker who's now his girlfriend, and the whole thing was just a mess. She did end up getting child support and alimony, but there were issues with how his family structures their trust, which meant she left a lot on the table. Still, even now, it's not like she's actually below the poverty line or anything, so it's whatever. I didn't think we would be seeing much more of her, since she's my friend's wife who we weren't particularly close with, and there's no real reason why we would need to have any more contact than him, given that she was his wife. However, my girlfriend has been getting together and commiserating with her for some reason, and now their conflict, which I have deliberately kept away from, is now bleeding into my life too. My girlfriend keeps bringing up how unfair what my friend did was, how he's barely paying anything while they struggle, etc., etc., despite me saying that it's none of our business repeatedly. She's constantly passive-aggressive towards Anthony, even though he hasn't done anything to her. She's even brought Carly over while me and Anthony were hanging out, saying she's her friend, and she's allowed to have guests. As you can guess, this has led to some heated arguments. She's glad to know he's having fun eating edibles and playing video games with children. Yes, she even referred to me and our other friend as children to our face. We're both 22, while Carly's exhausted taking care of their child alone, etc. Now, keep in mind, this is my house. My parents gifted me this condo when I graduated, and I pay all the utility bills. I'm letting my girlfriend stay here because her roommate didn't want to renew the lease. She's trying to frame this like I'm not letting her see her friends, which is absurd. She's clearly 100% in the wrong here, right? Am I the a-hole, or is she for trying to bring this woman into our home? So, your friend dumped his wife when life got monotonous after the birth of his child. He fought hard to make sure that she and his child got the minimum of what he had to pay them. Your girlfriend thought this stunk and isn't afraid to say so, while you go hang out with your bro. You're the a-hole. Find better friends, and learn about how to stand up for what's right from your girlfriend. Gentle you're the a-hole to girlfriend because she shouldn't bring ex over while a-hole is actually there. That is not always a safe move. He lasted a whole 1.5 months after his child was born. My friend is a cheater and my girlfriend knows it and is upset I keep that type of company. There, I fixed the title for you. You're the a-hole. So, you're on the side of the guy who got bored with his wife and left her to date a coworker after she had a baby? And you think you get to decide who your live-in girlfriend is friends with and invites over? How would you react if she told you to not invite Anthony over because she's really uncomfortable to see you supporting someone with that view for relationships? I mean, I'd be unhappy if my husband was pro dump your wife and newborn for a new side piece. So why should you expect her to be okay with your questionable friendship? In other words, you're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. My house that my parents bought me. Also, your friend thought having a wife/child was monotonous, so he cheated with a coworker. He now pays limited child support while she struggles to raise a child. If I were your girlfriend, I would be very aware of what you consider none of your business. Also, that you don't consider it odd that he can come over anytime and it's whatever, but you can't have her friend over. If it's truly none of your business and you're not taking sides, either should be fully welcome.